Assalamu alaikum. Soduo, Cafimat Fican.
Okay, like okay, Saleh, you were fast.
Yeah.
Okay, aniga waa Yasmin, asagana waa Yasin.
Yes, Saleh.
Yasin is dhirabe, ujeedi. You're about to call
Adiga
yourself?
Saleh.
No, adiga waa Yasin.
Adiga wa Yasmin.
And adiga waa Yasin. See Saleh, Yasmin, Yasin, Anisa, Anis, Nalka, Noorka, Asha, Abdullahi.
Ashur and Abdullah.
Yeah, they go Fathi, Fatima.
How about Salih and Salihin?
There you go. Okay, I think Saleh. Magacayga waa Saliha, adiguna waa Saleh. Mashallah, tabarakallah. Waa idin salaana walaalahay soo dhawaada. Baryahan waxaan wadnay ilmaheena ka hadlaynay caruurteena. Caruur. Children. Ilmaheena. Ilmo iyo caruur are kind of same thing. Our children. Baryahan waxaan ka hadlaynay ilmaheena. waxaan ka soo hadalnay ilmaha sida jaceelka iyo qiimeynta loo siiyo. We talked about how to love and respect our children. waxaan ka soo hadalnay autism children. ilmaha autismka qabaana ka soo hadalnay xoogaa. maanta waxaan ka hadlaynaa aan taabanaynaa how about if we focus today the children who are doing alcohol, substance, would you say abuse? ilmaha alkolada cabayo iyo waxaan ka hadlaynaa ilmaha daragiska cunay sida marijuana oo kaleeto iyo sigaar cabayo, tobacco, all of those, chewing tobacco, cigarettes, all that stuff. Because the Somali parents are having a hard time understanding why the children are doing this when the culture and the religion does not allow. So our Somali children are having two identities. One of them in the house, we follow Somali culture and the Somali deen. When they go outside, we take everything out and we are drinking and we're losing a lot of children. Leaving Islam and a lot of children are doing these drugs. Ilma badana waxa ku dhacay inay diintana ka tagaan, qamrana cabaan, and waxyaalo oo alcohol iyo dhuqay adduun dhan ay sameeyaan. So seen and maxaan subinaa, what shall we do? It's hard.
One thing to understand is like in a Muslim country, it's going to be a lot less likely that the children are going to be able to find alcohol.
There was Somalia alcohol.
It's still there. It's there, but it's not there as easily though.
Not like here.
Not like here, or in Canada, or in Europe, or whatever.
صح.
And the culture of like the Western countries, quote unquote Western countries, whatever. The culture of them kind of has a respect and even an honor, really, for drinking alcohol or having alcohol as a part of their place. So there's all of those things need to be understood or taken into consideration as a part of this thing too. Is that here we are in a place where it's easy to get access to these things. But the big question comes down to, why do people use in general? Why do people use these things in general? And you know, it's Muslim or non-Muslim, because this is something that plagues every community. Really. You know what I mean? And certain people have stronger dispositions for like alcohol use and things like that. So a part of the nature of this thing comes down to really the nafs. And there's a thing inside of us that in some ways it can just be curiosity to begin with. What is that? I wonder what that's about.
Right.
And then you follow through with that curiosity. In other cases, it can be that there are certain difficulties that we've taken on from watching our parents. Maybe they struggle with each other somehow in fighting. Maybe it can be actual abuse, physical abuse, trauma, coming from a war-torn country. That in itself can be something.
It's trauma. It's
trauma, and it causes depression.
Right.
And that can lead to this threshold of considering to do something that is forbidden to us, you know. And because we say to ourselves, well, why do people do that? And they say, well, everybody who talks about it says it makes me feel good, or it makes me feel this way, or it numbs us, or it makes us feel different.
Right.
And that's really the thing that people are looking for is they're trying to escape themselves.
Yeah.
Who they are and what they're going through because of the difficulties that are there.
صح.
So they want to escape that and go into another world where those things aren't difficult for them anymore. So it's a way of numbing and
getting relief. From the pain or the bad experience that they have.
Exactly. And in fact, a lot of times with narcotics like heroin and things like that, it starts out a lot of times with people having been treated medically for pain.
It can be tooth,
Vicodin, or even tooth pain or something like that. So they get a prescription medication, and then they try that and they say, wow, that really worked. Anytime I have pain, I should use something like this.
Yep.
And then they say, well, I can't get it from a doctor because I don't have anything.
My doctor won't give it to me.
My arm's not broken or my tooth isn't hurt. So the doctor's not going to give it, but somebody can. And then who do I get it from? I just ask friends who might do that or whatever.
Who's selling it?
Who's heard of it, or if they talk about it. You know, well, what, you know, and then, so if that, and the conversation comes up, kids talk about these things all the time.
Also,
so
they
as
help
parents,
at
don't be
school.
Surprised that the kids talk about this stuff. They talk about it all the time.
They are very curious. It's at the schools, in the communities, the streets. It's easy to find it everywhere. So they steal from mom and dad, lacag ay ka xadayaan, waxyaalo badan ay suubinayaan, so they can easily get it. And this stuff are addictive.
Right.
Such a strong.
Well, the thing is even if it's alcohol, isn't it's addictive, especially once you get into it and you use it for a long time. Because how you know it's addictive is that when you stop it, it causes withdrawals. And I mean, literally people shake, they go through tremors and everything to get that stuff out of their system. So it's addictive. But small amounts of it at the very beginning, you're not getting into that addictive cycle yet. And so, but what will happen at that very beginning part is that they might try it and say, oh, this makes me feel different, or it makes me feel, makes my life feel easier. Because like with alcohol, and may Allah forgive me, but before I was a Muslim, I used to drink alcohol. It actually doesn't taste good, you know, to drink it. It kind of burns and things. It's not good that way. Some people really enjoy it, the taste of it, but for the most part, people will taste it the first time and be like, I don't like that. And then they'll continue, and then what they feel from it is this thing where they'll be able to say things that they weren't able to say while they weren't under the influence.
They are loose.
Yeah, they become loose and relaxed. And that's why a lot of times in the Western societies, people use it for social activities because they themselves might be a little introverted and it's not easy to talk to people or to communicate and say things that they might not normally say. So they use a little bit of alcohol and then they take off that edge and it's easier to communicate. So that's part of what the beginning of it is about. And so when a child goes, you know, to a party or whatever and they drink these things and everybody else is doing it, they feel involved. They feel
they're part of it. They feel normal.
Yeah, and they'll develop a relationship with these folks that way. And sometimes through the bad of it, even if they drank too much, they'll share the story of having, you know, puked together, or, you know, remember that time when, then they go through the harrowing stories of how they did all these stupid things. So all of that, though, even as we look at it from the outside and go, wow, that's really bad, it's all the experiences that they develop with these folks as a friendship. And that's what you're dealing with, is you're coming into a situation where, first of all, as parents, if you hear your children talking about it, don't just get mad and yell at them.
Shut your mouth! Yeah,
don't talk about that. Because they're going to talk about it, and you're telling them not to. Now you've created a situation where you're not going to be able to get into their world and connect with them. And you're going to create a barrier between yourself and them, and they're going to continue to go away.
They will start hiding everything from mom and dad.
Yeah, so you don't want to create that barrier. You want to keep involved, even though it's going to be unbearable. It's going to be it's not going to be comfortable for you to listen to some of the things that they're going to talk about. But you have to be able to give them guidance. You have to be able to talk to them about the alternative to that.
What are the solutions?
Why do you do it? To numb this, or what are you going through in life that's making you feel like you have to escape? What's really at the root of this thing?
So
because there usually is something at the root of it.
Right. Because a lot of girls also, what I'm hearing is using these strong pain medicine or alcohol or doing marijuana and all of this to get it. They're also being raped, abused, and used, because that's how they can get it. And when they come home, some of them don't even have clothes on. The people are taking everything from them. What are the solution for mom and dad, for the parents to do? Don't shut your children.
Unfortunately, the trail, like especially of addiction, right, is once you then get involved with especially with drugs like cocaine and heroin and things like that, you'll get to the point where you can't afford it anymore, and nobody's willing to give it to you anymore. These people who you thought were your friends, the people who you thought were your friends and were always sharing with you, suddenly nobody is going to give it to you anymore. And now you have to either pay for it, and you start paying for it, you can't afford it. Now what does it come down to? You still want the product, but what do you have to offer back? And this is where these people are very manipulative, and they often have a side business, not just selling drugs, but now they're going to sell your body and have you do other things that you would never do.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Well, that advice goes to the very beginning. Don't get involved to begin with, but
let's say at the beginning, Saleh.
But if you see this as a sign that you're in a situation where you're going, I don't know how I got to this point, but now here I am. I can't afford this stuff, and I'm going to do something that I would never do in order to get it. That's when you can tell yourself
something is
you got a problem.
You are in trouble.
And you need to go to your family. You need to go to somebody who you
get
trust
some help.
to get help.
Talk to your mom and dad. Talk to your teachers. Say, I'm in trouble. I need help. Go, get help in the community. There are classes. There are support. Get some, and don't feel ashamed, because we all go down, but we must get up and dust ourselves. Now, get some help.
A big part of the core of this thing that we're all of this that we're talking about is the nafs. It's about the self. It's about, because the self wants pleasure and ease in everything, right? And so it desires to seek out the things that bring that to it. And it sometimes has a destructive nature to it. The nafs says, let me do something radical and do something beyond the pale, or whatever, and push the boundaries. So all of this comes to knowing ourself, and what is that nafs calling us to. And this is why we have the deen, alhamdulillah. The deen gives us parameters in order to control the nafs and to give the soul, the ruh, the connection to God, the upper hand. Because if we look at the Quran and how it gave the prohibition for alcohol and intoxicants, is that at the very beginning it just mentioned that these are here and there's good and bad in it, is what it says in the beginning in the Quran. And then the second time it says, it says there's good and bad in it, but the bad outweighs the good. But it still didn't say that it was completely haram. The good and bad in it, but the bad outweighs the good. Then the last one was, there's good and bad in it, the bad outweighs the good, but don't come to prayer intoxicated. I'm sorry, the middle one was, don't come to prayer intoxicated. So it was saying that there's still some room that it could still be used. But finally, it's haram. The bad outweighs the good. The bad outweighs the good, and it's haram. So therefore, we have to understand that as well. There's a process that goes along in this thing, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed for us to have that knowledge of those. In the end, it is haram. It's completely not acceptable.
Leave it alone.
Right? This goes for intoxicants, things that intoxicate us and distract us from our prayer or our connection to God. And so the deen is given to us to give us a protection from that. And alhamdulillah for it. Mashallah, tabarakallah.
So now we'll end the video. Parents, get help. Get help and don't feel embarrassed. Haddii reemin ilmaha haddii alcohol iyo drugs bartaan inaad qariso. caawinaad raadso. Who can help you? yaa ku caawin karo. shibka dadka oo hadlaya iyo waxaas amaansii. People who are gossiping and talking, that's not your business. Your business is to protect your children. caawinaad weydiiso, ilmahaaga ha qarinin. Don't hide your children. Open the door for them. Drive them where they want to go. Protect them.
Another level of being involved with fighting against this thing, because it's a social deal, you know, is if you hear about groups that are getting together to talk about fighting against this.
Involve
yourself. Be involved with that. Don't let it out to like, oh, the non-Muslim people are taking care of doing all these things.
It's
be
all
involved.
humanity.
It's a part of your children are getting involved with these things too. You need to be involved in those groups also to help advocate for things that are going to help to make it less likely for the children to do that.
Open your eyes. indhahaaga intaa furto, dhagahaagana fur meel alla meesha wax ka maqasho, ilmahaagana saaxiib la noqo. Be there. And you know what? This is not only Somali children.
No.
Somali children.
This is
worldwide.
an epidemic. It's literally, heroin use is an epidemic in America and the West, all over the world.
It's
not something new either. It's been around forever.
It's been around and it is here and it will be, but for our job. waxa waaye ilmahena waa inaan ku dadaalno. ilaahan dadaalkay. Allah is the protector, Saleh. But we have to do our best.
One of the things that for me as a Muslim that makes me feel I mean, just because I have such a high esteem for my Muslim ummah, you know, the ummah, and so all of the Muslims everywhere, and I feel really uneasy at the fact that, like, for heroin, Afghanistan and those places are and there's Muslim lands essentially that are being used for producing this stuff, and of course they're not the ones who are making the biggest bucks. The ones who are producing it, they're giving it off to other folks who are bringing it into these other societies. But it's a huge business, and they're making lots of money.
And it's ruining our families, our children, our communities. May Allah protect our children. Ameen.
If the Muslims had a more proper understanding of all these things, we could be the ones who say, you know what, we're not going to allow for any opium fields. That's one of the things that alhamdulillah.
Remember, we're giving...
This is the end of the video now.
Remember, it's supposed to be 10 minutes and it's over 17 minutes.
Okay.
But Al-Saleh, guess what?
Yes.
May Allah protect our children no matter where they are. Ameen. Walidka, involve yourselves. Ilahi hanaga qabto balaayada ay wadaan ilmahana Allah noo badbaadsho. Amiin ya Rabbi. Noo soo duceey anagana ilmaan dhalnay. Adinkana waa idin soo ducno. We have children, do dua for us, and we will do dua for your children. Amiin ya Rabbi. Ilmiinu u soo duceynina kuwana u soo duceeya. May Allah protect kulligeen meel alla meeshaan joogno. Ilaahay hanaga qabto balaayada wareegista. Amiin ya Rabbi. Insha Allah waxaas arkaynaa next video.
MashaAllah. When I became a Muslim, I said to myself, I gave up liquor to take on thicker.
Wallahi al-azim. You go for that. That was a good ending. Saleh wuxuu yiri qamrada waxa markaan muslimiin qamrada inaan dhaafo oo aan digriga bilaabo. How did you say it?
I gave up liquor to take on thicker.
That was a perfect way of ending.
Alhamdulillah.
I'm so thankful.
I am too.
That you left that mess behind.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
May Allah keep us in this
path. Allah bless you too for helping me find the deen.
Allah helped you, alhamdulillah, but may Allah keep us in the straight path and continue, inshallah. Why are you crying now?
Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, camera وين بحث صالح وينايا.